So in this video, you are going to see a recording of a coaching call where I'm walking through how to transition cleanly into your pitch and then how to formulate a really solid pitch that has people at the end of calls saying, wow, this is exactly what I need. A lot of times people or sales reps, they run into two issues. Their pitch is rigid and it just pops out at the prospects. They'll ask a bunch of questions, do a deep discovery. The prospect's getting vulnerable, they're opening up, and then out of nowhere, the sales rep just goes, okay, ready for me to tell you what I do? Okay, cool. Can I give you my thoughts? And it's kind of just like this brick wall that they run into that leads them to kind of feel really weird and resistant and hesitant to really just like sit there and take in your pitch. And then on top of that, a lot of reps run into the fact that their pitch is very scripted, very rigid. Again, it's just not tailored to the prospect. It doesn't sound like it's for them. It sounds like this is a program that they got to fit themselves into rather than the program fitting and molding itself around the person. And in this video, in this training, I kind of go through how to do that, how to transition so that they want to hear your pitch. They're waiting for it. They're on the edge of their seat like, yes, please tell me. And then in the pitch, when you're talking about it, they're like, wow, this sounds like it's perfect for me. This sounds like it's for me. And I got to do this, leading you to have much, much, much less objections and close a lot more deals. Hopefully you enjoy the training.
The pitch, and when it comes to tailoring the pitch, the only thing you're doing is you usually have 3 to 4 steps, right? The way I like to envision it, let me see if I can do a little whiteboard here. Let me know if you can see this.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say we've got like our bridge, right? And this is like where they want to be, where they are now, where they don't want to be, right? And they gotta like walk along this bridge to get there. Your pitch should be the pillars that hold up or make up the bridge, right? So realistically, when you're explaining your pitch, you're gonna be like, all right, step 1, we're gonna walk this far. Step 1, we gotta do this, right? Then once that's done, step 2, we gotta do this. And once that's done, step 3, pardon my terrible drawing with a mouse, you got to do this, right? And everything should lead into the next and be the logical next step. And once all things are complete, it should be easy to see how that results in them achieving their goals. So for example, when I was a sales manager for an offer that helped people start and grow their own coaching businesses, step 1 was we've got to solidify your offer and your messaging. What are you selling? Get very, very clear on what the offer is. Next, we're going to help you with your marketing. We're going to make sure that you take that offer and turn it into a marketing message that attracts the right people, attracts the people that you want to work with, attracts the people that are best fit to work with you. And then lastly, because you have a good message, because you're marketing it well, people are going to be coming to you, people are going to be messaging you, people are going to be booking calls. So the last thing we're going to work on is your sales and or delivery. So there could be 4 pillars. The 4th pillar could be delivery, right? So the 3rd pillar would be we work on your sales. We'll help you with your sales calls. We'll do call reviews, all that stuff to make sure that you're actually closing as many people that are a good fit for your program as possible. And lastly, delivery, we would help you with, again, if they needed help with it, we'd help you with your delivery so that you're coaching people well, your clients are happy, you have good systems in place where people aren't asking for refunds and all these things, right? So that's the pitch. Does that make sense so far?
Totally, yeah. I'm already picking it up on the e-commerce, like analyzing how it can be 3 pillars.
Yeah, so everything is the logical next step to the next that, and then they can say, okay, if we have a good offer and my marketing is awesome, bringing in a ton of people, and my sales skills are there, that 10 or 20K a month I want to make as a coach I'll be there, right? I'll get there. So that's how your pitch should sound. Now, where the tailoring comes in is explaining how each pillar will work for them specifically. So let's say I'm talking to a coach. One coach says, my offer, I don't even know where to start with the offer. I don't know how to present it. I don't know what to say. I just know that I help people with alcohol addiction, and I don't really know how, like, I don't have a clear offer. I just know I want to help people with that. I've been doing one-to-one coaching and I want to scale it,
Mm-hmm.
right? So my pitch might sound like, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to get really, really clear on what your offer message is. Remember how you told me before that you didn't really know how to put it together in a package. You just did those, one-off one-to-ones. You don't really understand how to scale that into group coaching, into an actual community for yourself. This is where we're going to sit down. We're going to break down blah, 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 blah about your offer and help you in this way. And then they
Mm-hmm.
go, oh, that's perfect. That's exactly what I need. And then I'm going to explain marketing, and then I'm going to explain sales. So that's coach one. Let's say coach two now has a great offer, right? Their offer, they've sold it a bunch of times. They don't have any issues with the offer itself. Let's say they just don't know how to market it. They're not really good at Facebook ads. They don't know how to get people to reach out to them in the DMs. They don't know how to book calls with advertising. So my pitch would sound different in a sense where I'd say, step one, you remember how you said you have a great offer? People love it when you were able to actually speak to them. They say, hey, this is a great offer. We'd love to work with you. That's awesome. If there's any tweaking there, we'll take a look and see if we can improve it. But offer is not your main struggle. So the main thing we're going to be working on together is that marketing funnel you have. We want to make sure that you know how to perfect the messaging of that offer so that so it appeals to a vast audience of exactly who you want to work with. So we're going to take that great offer and we're going to help you create a funnel that blah, 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 gets a bunch of people to DM you, reach out to you, book calls with you. So it's the same pitch, but I'm highlighting and focusing on different aspects of how we'll help them based on what they need that I learned in discovery. Does that make sense?
Totally.
And then coach three has a good offer, has good marketing. They're booking a ton of calls, but they suck at sales, so they're not converting anything. So I'll explain offer, I'll explain marketing, but then when we get to sales, I'll say, hey, remember how you said that you're only closing 1 out of every 10 calls? This is where we're going to review your sales calls, help you come up with a better framework that allows you to triple that up and ideally close at least 3 out of every 10 calls so that you're not missing out on that extra XYZ revenue every single month, and you get a lot more revenue to put into the marketing machine to scale this thing much faster. Does that make sense? So that's how we tailor the pitch. The pitch is always the same. The pillars are always the same thing every single time, but how I explain them, I'm slightly tailoring for how it will work for them specifically, right? So how this applies to you is if you're talking to an e-com business, that e-com business might struggle with referrals, might struggle with, they might struggle with operations, they might struggle with their marketing, they might struggle with systems, whatever they struggle with, as long as it's in alignment with the way you help, it's going to slightly tweak the way you explain your offer for them. Does that make sense?
Totally. Yeah.
Any questions on that?
This is very, very structured and straightforward. I love this. So let's say if I have a marketing offer that caters different problems within business. It could be retaining customers or getting more customers or usability of the website. So it can be not just like 3 pillars, but multiple things. So probably the best for me to prepare all services that we have.
Yeah, and most
and
offers that you work for will be specializing in one way of helping people.
So should I not cater too broadly? Should I just pick a niche and just practice within it?
For the sake of just improving your sales and your role plays, yeah, just say like, for your role plays, we help with this specific problem, whether it's leads, whether it's operations, because that's what most businesses are, right? It's very rare that you get that are like, usually general companies like that are usually like founder led. agencies that like just kind of do a bunch of custom stuff, or they're just massive agencies. But again, they still have departments. Their marketing funnel still speaks to a specific problem, right? So for the type of offers you're going to be working, most of them are like, we're the email guys, or we're the ops guys, or we're the sales guys, or we're the, product, shipping savings guys, or we're the finance. They always usually specialize in a small group of things. Not saying it's always one thing, but it's usually solving one specific problem with sometimes multiple solutions for that problem.
Totally.
Then what's the benefit, right? So you want to transition by being like, and once we've analyzed, we'll have this, and that's when we'll do this, or that's when we'll use that information so that we can do this, right? Just like the example I gave you, once we solidify your offer, then we can focus on marketing it now. So what we'll do next is this. And then once we are now marketing it, you'll be getting a bunch of inbound messages. You'll be getting a bunch of booked calls on the calendar. So the next step is going to be focusing on your sales calls to make sure you're converting those deals. Does that make sense? See how it all connects and flows into the next? So just make sure that you say, this is what we're going to do. This is the benefit. This is the outcome. This is the problem that will be created by that. And it's not really a problem, but again, having too many calls and not knowing how to close them, that's a problem. So the problem created by us helping you with your marketing and you getting so much calls is, let's get you better sales. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's brilliant. So what I'm hearing is that to create a good transition from one pillar to another by highlighting the benefits and the outcome and how we naturally transition to second, etc.
Yeah, and how that outcome will create space for us to work on the next thing, right? So for example, you said, so what's the number one problem you're solving for a business?
Optimizing their ads in order to get more profit.
Okay, so more profit from ads. So the 3 steps that you take someone from where they are to getting more profit from ads, 3-step pillar. But again, don't overthink this too much because this is just for role plays, right? So you don't have to like design a whole pitch and design an offer. Don't overthink it. Just pick, hey, I'm selling this. Let's just role play that. Get a couple role plays on the portfolio and then jump in.
I have one more question, I guess, for the pitch. So after transition is done and it's time to announce the price, right? So like first we share the 3 pillars and all the details, and then prospect asks, okay, this sounds good, so how much is it? Right? Then I announce the price.
Yeah, so I have a video on the pitch in the community, so you can watch that after, but the way I'll do it is I'll say the pillars, and then I'll say, so first we're going to do this, then we're going to do this, then we're going to do that. Does that make sense? Do you feel like what we just went through is exactly what you need in order to get to XYZ goal? And I'll say what the goal is. And they'll be like, yeah, this is exactly what I need. Or they'll say, I don't know. Or they'll say no, which if you did discovery right, you should almost never hear that. And what I'm looking for here is energy and tone. Because someone being like, oh, yeah, that sounds great, is very different from someone being like, yeah, it'll work. Right? So I'm not going to say, hey, if they say yes, then just move on, because there's multiple different ways of yes. So it's more of an energy response. If I just go through my pitch, they should be like pretty confident, like, yeah, I think this is going to work. Yeah, this sounds good. Yeah, awesome. This is exactly what I need. That's what I want to hear. But if they're like, yeah, I mean, we'll see. I mean, I think it'll work, or, we could try it. Then I'm going to stop right there, because there's no point in dropping the price if there's not a belief in the service. Right? Nobody spent thousands of dollars on, it could work. You know what I mean? Nobody ever does that. So what I would do right there is I would stop and say, hey, call it out. Hey, you don't sound too sure. Is there any questions you have about how we would work together? Anything that you feel like might not work for you? Is there anything stopping you from being less than 100% sure? Like, whatever question you want to ask there, you just want to call it out. You want to call it out. Hey, you don't sound sure what's going on. That's why I like to say sometimes, hey, you don't sound pretty sure there. What's going on? Everything okay? And then they'll usually be like,
Mm-hmm.
well, I mean, you said the offer thing, but, and then they'll tell you their concerns and you can talk through that. But let's just
Mm-hmm.
say they said, yeah, I think this is it. Then I would say, okay, cool. Um, and then I would explain the onboarding process. So one thing I learned that works really well is you explain what happens before and what happens right after, and then the investment's right in the middle, right? So that way they know what they're getting into. So instead
Mm-hmm.
of just being like, okay, and the investment is this, I'll say like, okay, so you don't have any questions, you feel good about it. The only thing left to do is talk about the onboarding process and then make the investment, and we can kick things off. Sound good? Or would you
Mm-hmm.
like me to go through what that looks like? And then they'll be like, yes. Again, we want to get them on the what's called the yes train.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the more they're used to saying yes, the more likely they'll say yes later. Um, and again, we don't want them to ever feel like we just threw something in their face, threw the pitch in their face, threw the price in their face. It's always they have this sense of they're in control of this, so they don't have that anxiety of not
Mm-hmm.
being in control. So I'll be like, okay, cool. So you feel good about us working here. You feel good about the service. You don't have any other questions. The only thing left would be for me to explain the onboarding process, what that looks like, and then we can talk about the investment and what that looks like, and then we can get started. Would you like me to go through that? Yes. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
cool. So what's going to happen is we'll process the investment here today, and then you're going to jump on an onboarding call with your coach or with whoever. And what I like to do here is I like to explain a quick win. Quick win
Mm-hmm.
meaning what is the value or result they can get within the first week, 2 weeks? Because most programs you sign up for, we're talking into either 90 days, 6 months, or a year to get what you paid for. And if you know anything about human beings, we don't like to wait for things, right? That's why
Mm-hmm.
Amazon Prime is so successful because we want to buy something and it comes now or tomorrow, right? So I want to tell them what they can get just by signing up by the end of the week or next week. Whatever your quick win is for the offer, you define that. So I would say, okay, Vileka, you feel good. You don't have any questions. I can go through. The only thing left to do is go through the onboarding process, go through investment, and talk about what it actually looks like to get started. Sound good?
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to get you on an onboarding call with, Jake. Awesome coach. He knows what he's doing. He's worked with so many people. And what Jake will do is he'll go through that offer creation guide with you, make sure that your offer is blah, 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 blah. And honestly, by that first week, most people get XYZ result or most people see this. So for like a sales training thing, I'd be like, awesome. So the first thing we'll do is we'll do an onboarding call. We'll get a baseline for where you're at skill set wise. And honestly, most people after that first call review are already closing an extra deal or two a week. Sound good? And that way they're like, oh, sweet. By
Mm-hmm.
next week, I'll already be making more money. Yes, I won't be at the big goal, but I'll see some kind of result. I'll get some kind of package. I'll get some kind of reward within this short time frame. That's exciting, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'll be like, yeah, so the onboarding process, first thing we'll do is we'll get you on a call with XYZ. He'll analyze your whatever. And most people, they walk away from that call having knowledge, getting result, getting whatever. How does that sound? And they're like, oh, that sounds great. I'd be like, awesome. So the investment to, and I don't like to say payment, but investment is the best term to use. So I'll say, and the investment to hotspot meaning I want to speak to results that they want. And this is why
Mm-hmm.
goals is important, right? So the
Mm-hmm.
problem is important for the pitch. Goals is important for dropping the price, right? And it's also important for the pitch as well. But let's say they said they want to scale their business to 100K a month so that they can hire more employees and have more free time to spend with their family. So I would drop the price and I'd say, okay, after I do, this is the onboarding process. Sound good? They say, that sounds great. Like, awesome. So the investment to scale that business to 100K a month so that you can hire some employees and spend some more free time with the family is a one-time price drop. And that
Mm-hmm.
way they're not tying the program or the things they have to do or whatever to the price. They're tying the outcome to the price. So now it
Mm-hmm.
becomes a thought process of, is scaling my business to 100K a month and being able to hire more employees and spend more time with my family, is that worth 5K, 10K, 20K?
Mm-hmm.
That's the comparison they're making rather than being like, okay, so the investment for the program is 10K. Then they're like, okay, is this program worth 10K? No, they're thinking about, is the outcome worth 10K? Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
And that's
Yeah,
how I drop the price.
it's good separation of yeah, what are they paying for sure. Wow, this is awesome.
Yeah,
Cool.
and that's how I'd go about the pitch and then closing up the call. And then obviously you handle any concerns, objections, whatever. You help them walk through it, help them navigate it.